treating it like a threat. And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. You can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well. Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners Podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Want to be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Sponsors taken care of right off the top. Oh, Bitcoin and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop. It doesn't matter what topics discussed. Quality entertainment and information you can trust.
That's being planned or at least discussed. You know, we're not going to allow people to buy stuff
and information you can trust. Send the guy some value, boost them with some stats. Bitcoin is a scarcity asset. I mean, it's just a fact. Geopolitical, national, down to the local cloud.
Friends and enemies, welcome back to the Canadian Bitcoiners Podcast, where the mic is a little too close here to start. My name is Joey. It's Wednesday night. Big day in the United States today. We're not going to talk about that too much, I don't think, but it might come up. We'll try and keep things light here just for the sake of brevity. Is brevity the word? I don't think so. But anyway, I got the boys from the Bugle here. Greaser, Palmer. Can you name a more iconic duo? Maybe Super Dave Osborne and Mr. Fuji. I don't know. Which one of these guys is Mr. Fuji? I'm not sure. We'll find out. But as always, the sponsors, first and foremost, EasyDNS is the best place for you to host your content. We've known Mark for a long time now, probably 3 or 4 years minimum. Actually, no, probably longer. I think I've lived here for a few years. We knew Mark before that. So let's call it 4 or 5. And he's been a great friend of the show. He's been on the show a bunch. You guys love him and are patronizing his business all the time. But why stop? If you are a Bitcoiner, you need a place to host your content that's not going to take you down. It's going to be reliable, secure. He's got easy mail and domain share over there for a couple extra bucks when you bring a website over or buy a domain from him. And on top of that, obviously, a lot of virtual private server stuff. So if you want to run a Bitcoin node, Nostr relay, BTC Pay server, you name it, Mark has got your back. Plus, he's the original Mike Saylor. Before Mike Saylor was glowing and on fire in everyone's thumbnails, thanks to Luke Milicic or whatever, Mark was taking Bitcoin for payment and hodling. So we like that. Go and use the code CBP Media and get 50% off your first round of buys. Good evening, people in the chat. Second sponsor, Bull Bitcoin. You guys know him. You love him. The most extreme group of Bitcoiners in both official languages. Buy your Bitcoin there. Never worry about custody. Everything is self-custody only. Never worry about rugging. They don't keep any of your coin. You can pay your bills there if you want, not just your gift card stuff, but you can do that too. I'm talking mortgages, electrical bills, cell phone bills, you name it. Those guys got you covered. And if you use our code, which I think is just CBP, you get a 1/4 point off of all your fees for life. Is it actually, you know what? It's actually 25% off your fees, not a 1/4 point. 1/4 point wouldn't be that good. 25% is really good though. So go there and keep buying. I know you guys are buying. I think we're up over $2 million with them since we started our partnership. Third sponsor, 256 Heat. You can see in the background there, a couple of computers. Ignore those. On the left, on your right, I guess, the chair, you can see my 256 miner hashing away, heating this room. It's going to be great in the winter, I think. And so far, I've pulled down, I don't know, $60, something like that. And I'm only running it at a couple 100 watts. Can't beat it, man. Tuan will set up something that works for you. If you got a home gym, garage, you want to heat an airport, airplane hangar, a closet, the only room in your house that your wife will let you put a TV in. You know, I think a lot of people call it a man cave. It's really just a sign of cuckoldry, in my opinion. But they'll figure that out for you too at 256 Heat. So give Tuan a call. And then finally, the Canadian Bitcoin Conference. That conference is on the 16th of October. It's coming up. I am the MC again this year. Looking forward to that quite a bit. It's a conference that's not full of shit. It's the best way to put it. You go there, you meet other great Canadian Bitcoiners, you meet people who you like in the podcast space, YouTube space, Twitter space, whatever. And you're not going to get a lot of junk there. It's all high signal, good quality people, and some great restaurants and drinks to boot while you're in Old Montreal. So make sure you check that out. It's at the Rialto Theater again this year, 16th to 18th of October. Like I said, we don't have a promo code, but I'm sure I'll see you guys there. I always see a bunch of you guys there, and I'm sure that this year will be no different. Okay, here they are, masked and ready to go. Where do we start? I mean, I do appreciate when I see other podcasters on the show muting their mics before they speak, so I don't just hear their fans, their air conditioners, all that shit in the background. It's good to see you boys. What's going on?
Doing well. Appreciate the shout out. Joey. It's great to talk to you again. And I think it was smart that you read all of your commercials at the beginning of this episode before you introduced us. I think that was probably a smart decision.
Yeah. I got a question about
Can you guys act like you know the cadence of a podcast? Like, unless both of you speak, I'm not going to interrupt. And you guys are the guests, so you get to speak as much as you want. No one's here to listen to me; they're here to listen to you. Richard Greaser, go ahead.
Well, we don't have sponsors, so we're not used to this. But I just wanted to say before we start off, I think Tatum Turnup way ahead of the curve as a Bitcoin podcaster. You know what I mean? He people made fun of him for wearing a bulletproof vest. Doesn't look so funny now, does he? But
oh my god.
You have like a VPS service as one of your sponsors, right?
Yeah, EasyDNS is Marcus is domain registrar. So if you want to like host a website, he's got some other stuff going on there too. But the big thing is the DNS stuff. So
I was just curious if they were able to deploy like a 10,000 knots nodes.
I don't know. I'm not sure. We could ask him. I'm sure he'd do it. Listen, tell people know you guys from all the great content you put out. You guys do a lot of obviously like satirical stuff. That's the whole point of your game. But I think you guys view yourselves correctly or incorrectly, I'm not sure, as credentialed journalists and like newscasters in the Bitcoin space. Tell me why do you, first of all, why do you think that? And second of all, why did you bother starting something like the Bugle? Like, it's already so micro niche enough in Bitcoin. And now there's like a micro niche, like satirical podcast / website with two guys who wear glasses and masks every time they're in public.
See, what the Bitcoin space really needed was people who delivered good credentialed news, good journalism. You can go on ChatGPT and you can ask about your favorite hardware wallet. You can ask about which node you should run. You should ask about which company you should KYC and get your DCA into cold storage into your hardware wallet. You can get all that information printed out for you exactly how those companies want you to read about it. You don't need, CoinDesk anymore. You don't need, some of these other Cointelegraph. You don't need Bitcoin.com. You don't need BitcoinNews.com. But people still needed news, and news from people who knew the industry, who understood PodConf. And I mean, listen, any news, even the New York Times, the facts are going to be stretchy. But in the Bugle, sometimes we don't always get the facts kind of 100% correct. And sometimes we're a little bit jumping of the gun. But the news, the signal is stronger, I would say, by double, at least 10 times greater than from the New York Times or from, Swan, like the Swan news desk.
I mean, I think the simple answer to it is I think both of us are making the stuff that we want to see in the world. I read Atlas Shrugged. I changed my life. There's nobody out there that values Bitcoin podcasts and smoking cigarettes like we do. Nobody.
I love the cigarettes thing.
if you're not being represented in the media, then you got to go participate in it somehow. Is my thought process behind things. And what a lot of other people do is they try to be like everybody else. They do the open mouth thumbnails. They follow the trends. And I'm not really interested in that. And
AI muscles.
Yeah, AI muscles.
Who's doing AI muscles?
BTC sessions.
He was on Twitter last night talking about how he wants to try peptides because he's having trouble metabolizing protein. I wanted to message him and be like, your problem is that you're not drinking enough milk. Like, the reason you're stuck at 160 pounds is because you needed to be drinking more milk. That's the issue. Does he look like 160 to you? There's like some really good lighting or whatever gym he's going to, because he looks bigger than.
I just want to know if he's using ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini. Like, which one is he using to get his AI muscles? I just don't want my wife or my daughter scrolling through YouTube and seeing a guy with AI muscles trying to sell him Bitcoin nodes. But I think his content's great. But to answer the question, like, I forgot what the question was. Sorry.
There's no question, really. I mean, I want to know why you guys started the Bugle. You told me one of the things you guys talk about all the time, and it's like a recurring joke at this point, but we should talk about it here. We've never discussed it on the program. Lynn Alden, is she hot? How hot is she? You guys are obviously aware of the dark conspiracy around Lynn Alden. I never really hear you discuss it. I'd be curious if you have some thoughts on that, and tell the viewers and listeners why you think Lynn Alden is is so hot.
She's hot for a lot of reasons. She's hot because she's incredibly smart. She's a very capable woman. When have you ever seen she's headlining Bitcoin events? She's a keynote speaker. She's there because of her brains. She is attractive, but she's like one of the only women that I don't think's ever sat on a Women in Bitcoin panel. And I think that's a great role model to be presenting to other women in the industry. She's hot. I find her to be one of the best examples out there, and I think we should applaud her for being one of the best examples out there.
And my answer is a little more simple. It's, think about if you were a single guy, or back when you were a single guy and your friends, they wanted to hook you up with this girl and set you up on a blind date. And he said, tell me about this girl. And they say, well, she's really smart when it comes to macroeconomics. She listens to 40 hours of Bitcoin podcasts per week. She posts really funny memes. She's known for nothing's, you're like, all right, this chick must be fat. This chick must you're gonna tell me next she has a good sense of humor. It's, if a girl is hot, that's one of the most important points. Like, just tell me about Lynn Alden. A, she's hot. B, she's good at macro. Like, those are not important points. And I think people just go out of their way to avoid saying Lynn Alden is hot for whatever reason. And we're just saying out loud what people are afraid to say for some reason.
Do you think she's the hottest Bitcoiner?
I think she's the Bitcoin standard of women in the industry, hands down. I mean,
Rod.
she is a very capable woman. She can run circles around all the macro.
No one is debating her macroeconomic.
Jerry, are you muted?
I lost his audio too. I guess it's
we don't hear you, Joe.
It's our podcast now. I refuse to be a Canadian, though. I'm an American.
Oh, maybe you got on purpose.
We're back. We're back.
All right. Welcome back.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah. Okay. One of you guys I was on with, I think it was you, Rod. We were talking about like the hot Bitcoin women side of things. And I personally have not really thought about this too much. Like, there's obviously some pretty attractive girls in Bitcoin, but the thing that really fucking bugs me, and you just brought it up, this like everyone has to be at the Women in Bitcoin breakfast, or the Bitcoin baddies breakfast, or the Bitcoin for chicks, or like, chicks and nodes or whatever. I fucking hate that stuff. And to Lynn's credit, you are right. I never see her paneling with the Women in Bitcoin panel, breakfasting with the Women in Bitcoin breakfast. She's just posting pictures of her midriff when it's time to work out and hitting you with nothing stops this train. Maybe I'm the one who's got this wrong.
Right. It's, you get to a podcast, a conference, you get somewhere and you see somebody who is a Bitcoiner who's as into this thing and as knowledgeable in this industry as anyone. And do you want to spend that 15 minutes or 5 minutes you have making small talk, talking about your dress, talking about your sponsors, or do you want to talk about thermodynamics? And do you want to talk about the runaway inflation, the debt spiral, the nothing stops this? Do you want to get down to nothing stops this train? And that's when any interaction you have with Lynn Alden, you get straight to the signal.
Greaser's nodding. Have you guys met her in person?
Not yet, but I hope to soon. I'd like to get her on the podcast. I think that'd be a great conversation.
Did you guys not just do that thing in Vegas with like the wrestling or something? There was like, I think you actually contracted a midget. Did I see that correctly?
There was a midget wrestling troupe. Yes, it was a good time. It was fun.
Do you want to tell people a little bit about that? Like, first of all, people don't know the Bitcoin conference obviously is a bit of a pariah on this show, but these two guys in the Bugle came up with this secondary. What did you call it? Satirize the system, I think, where you had like a offshoot arm's length PodConf unapproved conference in Vegas at the same time as the Bitcoin conference. I think I got that.
Yeah, Jeremy Poley, 21 Media, he put on the show. We partnered with him on it. It was a good time. There were some panels. I didn't really pay attention to it. I was hanging out, smoking cigarettes with people outside. But yeah, we had fun. I think it's important to get together with people in person, have a good time. There's like a different level of connection that you can have with your podcast listeners when you're hanging out together, smoking cigarettes. And it was a fun event. I hope to do many more, not exactly like it, but interesting events that have never been done before in the future.
Yeah. And I just want to take the time to talk about why the Bitcoin conference or why the Bitcoin magazine is kind of a pariah on your show after all they did for the truckers and the trucker protest. And this is, you're saying that they're pariahs. I just want to know more. I'm curious.
Well, Len is like super anti David Bailey. I think he's got a David Bailey voodoo doll. Honestly, he's, that term rent free applies to Len and David Bailey. And around the time when Bitcoin magazine launched, what did they call their investment arm? I forget now. Before Nakamoto, it was something else. And
UTXO management.
Yeah, UTXO. They launched that, and we did a segment on it. I forget exactly what we said, and I basically defended Bailey and the conference on the air, and he caught wind of it and sent me a DM and said, I really appreciate that. It's easy to say like that you hate us all the time. And so I ended up having him and Mark Goodwin on when Mark Goodwin was the editor before he was just working with Whitney. And it was a great show. That show got a lot of fucking plays, and we had a lot of good discussion about like whether or not they're in it for the right reasons, I guess, to use the reality TV parlance. And Len didn't show up. He boycotted it. And he also boycotted the main episode we did that week. He wouldn't do it with me. I had to do it, I think, with Boomer maybe. Or somebody had to fill in because Len refused to do the show that week with me out of disgust for giving the airwaves to those guys. I personally have no problem with the Bitcoin conference or David Bailey. Almost no matter what they do, he's been a net positive for Bitcoin and has probably made a lot of people a lot of money, including me, and I'm sure you guys too. So I personally have no problem with the guy. If he wants to spin up a investing arm, whether it's UTXO or Bitcoin treasury company, I could care less. I think it's fine. You can see in the chat there was a lot of support for that when Len bailed, because a lot of people feel the same way about Bitcoin magazine, the Bitcoin conference. Do you guys think it's am I crazy that it's fine? Because a lot of people hate it.
I was gonna say I don't understand the hate, but I do see it, and I just think that I watched that episode with you and with David, and you were obviously David Bailey charmed you. And I think Len's just afraid that David Bailey would make him like him. Len wants to hate David Bailey for, David Bailey just represents, the ordinals, and God, those suck. And ordinals are kind of gay, so he just doesn't want to like the guy. He's afraid to like David. It's too gay for him.
I think it's really important to criticize people where criticism is worth criticizing, but I also think it's important to give people props where they're deserved. And Bitcoin magazine, they create they're doing multiples of them now, but they consistently put on the greatest spectacle in Bitcoin, which is the conference. And it is a spectacle. It's the PodConf Super Bowl. There's so much degeneracy and nonsense, But the thing that I find really interesting when people target David is there's so many things to be upset at. And I think people are kind of losing sight of the broader scope of things. Like David is, there's some questionable things that he gets his hands into that you might not agree with. He fails all of Predator's purity test. And
Predator's a fan of this show, by the way. He listens to the show, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can criticize them. I think it's fair to criticize a lot of people, but they're having a derangement syndrome. Like one of the things that I found super lame was having Donald Trump at a Bitcoin conference and having TSA.
Come on, why? That was fucking cool, man. I really like that.
What's cool about being at a Bitcoin conference? Bitcoin has this cypherpunk ethos and waiting in TSA to go listen to your favorite podcaster speak. There's nothing.
Well, it's about like the idea that you went from, high-fiving with your buddy covered in pimples at $1,000 to the president has no choice but to come visit with you at the conference because you're now a huge voting and capital block in America. There's something cool about that.
I think that is kind of almost what Richard is saying at the same time, where it's Bitcoin Magazine conference is a spectacle, and with that spectacle there's trade-offs. It's not, it's not as pure, it's not as maxi, it's also not as cypherpunk, it's also too politics, but it is still a huge spectacle. And I think you can judge whether it was net positive or net negative. I think it's too early to do that. Where I would criticize David is that he's when you talk to him, he's somebody who obviously gets it. He understands Bitcoin. He understands the implications. We joke about how Bitcoin has already won. He gets that. And he kind of does understand his role as an influencer and somebody who's making things happen because of his ideas. And I just wish he took that more seriously. I think David should have more creative ideas.
He's one of the 4 horsemen of PodCon. Where I was going with it is just, you have your choice of what you get frustrated over and how to respond to it. And I feel like having some sort of derangement syndrome around somebody else's behavior is kind of waste of time. You can get frustrated about it, but my frustration is part of the reason why I didn't decide to go work for Bitcoin Magazine and I started doing my own thing is because I just it's not that I don't appreciate them. I do. The Lightning physical print magazine that they put out is great. The conference they put out, it's always a good time. I always have fun there. It's a spectacle. I mean, I got a massive boner watching Dennis on the news desk last year. I mean, that was it's an experience.
I love DP's the best. You guys hate, I shouldn't say you hate on him. You rag on him all the time, even though I think he's a pretty good Bitcoiner. I did want to ask you guys about Dennis Porter. We'll get to that maybe in a sec, but you mentioned Predator. Predator has become super, I don't want to say controversial, but he's divisive on Bitcoin Twitter. There's very few accounts in that realm that the big PodConf approved accounts interact with on a regular basis. But I see that Predator gets responses from Bailey, from Pierre Rochard, from a handful of others too, when he criticizes them and brings, what he thinks is a smoking gun receipt. It's not always, in my opinion, a smoking gun, but where do you guys, why did you start like a Predator, basically like a Predator comedy thread? Now, if I look at your feed, it's basically once every couple of days, you guys are saying something about Predator that's unrelated to a tweet that he had. I don't know. Where did this come from and why?
Well, a lot of the Predator content has really been driven by me. And and people know that. People know when Predator posts some things, he's getting teased by the meme coiners or something. He's riled up. They always tag me. They tag me when he rage quit. But I love Predator, and I'm not trying to make fun of Predator. I'll give you an example. We kind of brushed over the news today about Charlie Kirk, but a lot of people had a lot of reactions to that event. It was gruesome. People were trying to reconcile, be civil. Some people were calling for war. Everybody was talking about it in the group chats. And I go to Pledenor's page, and the first thing Pledinor did.
Wait a minute. So Charlie Kirk gets killed today, and you're visiting the Pledator Reddit.
I admit it. Yes, page. I admit this.
That is deranged. Okay.
And Pledator, but because the reason is, and I want people to understand how like funny Pledator is to me and how much I appreciate him. The first thing he did was go to pump.fun because he suspected that broccoli haircutted Zoomer scammers were going to take a picture of Charlie Kirk into this big gums, and they were going to make a meme coin out of it, and they were going to pump and dump it. And that's the first thing Pledator thought of. And that's the first thing he went to pump.fun. And then he blamed, the degeneracy of today on the people who would make meme coins of Charlie Kirk. And that is a symptom of how disgusting our society is. And only Pledator would think to know and go there and point that out. And he does that all the time. And I think that my only advice to Pledator is that, every time you go to David Bailey's Twitter page, you are let down and disappointed. How many more times can David Bailey or, Corey Clipston at Swan or, the Full app, how many more times can they let you down, Pledator? If you're grumpy because every time you go there and they're like, you stop going to their timeline. It's just, he's got the derangement, and the people reply because they've got Pledator derangement syndrome too.
Krisha, you got anything to add to that or what?
Pledator's a fisherman. He's sitting out there, he's casting lines, and he snags them every once in a while. He's very talented at it.
Who's going to dox first, you guys or Pled?
I think Pledator is the best, and I think that at least I think Rod Ballmer is the best when there's nobody to like see behind it, right? It's like the character, the journalism speaks for itself. The podcast speaks for itself. I don't think anything else matters. And I agree with Pledator. I appreciate Pledator's content so much. I don't care to ever know who he is.
I want to know who he is. I have a pretty good idea of who you guys are, but I'm not going to say it on the air. The Dennis Porter thing is another thread you guys like to pull on. And he gets so much shit for the breaking stuff and just his like tweet style and what I think are sometimes not the best fitting suits that he wears to visit with
these
politicians. Yeah, they need to be tailored, I think. I don't know. I don't think he's making a killing doing advocacy work for Bitcoin in Washington, but there's got to be a tailor who can help him with a couple of those pairs of pants I've seen. Because it doesn't look like he's out of shape. He doesn't need to have pants that are like off the shelf. He could buy something and have it tailored. Why pick on Porter? Is it just because it's easy? Because everyone knows the breaking meme, or you guys have some other reason for?
I don't understand what's the characterization of picking on him? We're big fans.
You guys are picking. I think you're picking on everybody. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but if I look through your feed, like I don't have your feed up right now. If I look through your feed, there's almost never like just a empty vessel comedy tweet. It's always like somebody is getting not roasted, but there's like an arrow pointing to them in the commentary.
We're covering the news. The news is about people.
Is that's the angle we're taking?
My job as a journalist is to report to what my perspective is based on the facts and the information. I'm not trying to make you look good. I'm not trying to make you look bad either. I'm just trying to represent you in a way that and usually when the story is good or the content's good, it's in a way that everybody else kind of their perspective about you as well. And it all aligns, and it's, that's where the news comes from. And we're not picking on anybody. If you feel like you're being picked on, I would question why. Why does this true information make you feel like you're being teased?
I don't know. I don't know people who are in your posts necessarily agree with that, but I'd be curious. I mean, it doesn't bother me. And I know a couple of times people who listen to the show and have been on this show have mentioned you guys before and after, when something comes out from your feed that they think is funny. The other thing that you guys obviously are talking a lot about is knots and core. And I don't run a node. I don't care about knots or core. And I know my co-host is on me all the time. My co-host actually purchased for me a Linux laptop and put a node on it and told me to run it, and it was too slow to work. That's how hard it is to run a node on a laptop. And it's a huge point of discussion now in Bitcoin. You got guys like Shinobi, Luke Deshir, whatever his name is. Some of this the core and knots debate has truly brought out some of the frumpiest looking Bitcoiners from the darkest, deepest corners of the Bitcoin Talk forum days. What are you guys seeing on the knots versus core front? Who are your favorite knots versus core personalities?
I don't know. I mean, it's been the big cultural thing we've had to report on, and I found it kind of annoying. The thing that's gotten me excited is this new political movement to not run a node, the not gonna node crowd.
I'm a pioneer in that movement.
Yeah, no, you are. You should definitely dunk on everybody that's shooting at you for not running a node.
I'm not gonna do that. I don't want to run a node because I don't say I don't care, but definitely part of me is like not thrilled about all the people who say you can't be a Bitcoiner unless you're running a node. It drives me nuts. Someone just sent me in the private chat here the Dennis Porter facts page on the Bugle. Like this is what I'm talking about. You know what this is like? You guys picked off the Chuck Norris like bathroom back of the bathroom door calendar and just put it under Dennis Porter's name and had him riding a dinosaur. I'm going to pull up the website. But you don't think this pisses people off? It might not piss off like the average podcaster, but this guy, he's trying to get into DC. He's probably dealing with like underinformed and underpaid political aides, office aides, secretaries who don't run nodes, Googling his name to see if he should get an appointment. And this is what they see when they Google him, the Dennis Porter facts page.
I hope so. They shouldn't underestimate him. They should know how serious of a deal Dennis is when he walks in their office. Dennis actually responded to this page. He posted a screenshot. He loves it. He loves that we're documenting facts about him.
I love this. I think this is funny to me. Like I think this is good content. I don't know how you guys manage to every week put out episodes of shit like to have shit from the Bitcoin. You call it the cultural space. We purposely on this show only talk about Bitcoin news for like 35 minutes. We do ads and housekeeping and just shoot the shit with each other for the first 10 or 15 minutes and then do like 35 on Bitcoin. It's mostly Len talking about like Bitcoin Core versus knots or whatever. You guys find the funniest angles on all kinds of shit. And I do applaud you for that because I think that's fucking hard. Like I don't laugh out loud at almost any shows, but it's pretty rare that I listen to the Bugle and don't at least laugh once. So I do applaud you for that. But I want to know, like, how hard is it to keep coming back to the well every week to find stuff from like what most people would describe as like a pretty boring online niche space. No one in Bitcoin is like funny except for the new people. He's got a pack of cigarettes in the video. Perfect. But like how do you, yeah, that's it. Nicotine.
I mean, if you want to put hard-hitting journalism out there, you just got to smoke cigarettes. I mean, part of it is the credentials. Part of it's the credentials. We're both credentialed. We're both trained journalists. Part of it is the cigarettes, and for me, it's reading Atlas Shrugged twice a year.
Twice a year.
And listening to 40 Hours of Bitcoin podcast a week. I mean, it's maybe you'd be able to talk about Bitcoin for more than 30 minutes a week if you listen to 40 hours per week.
I can't do it. Rod, what are you saying about that?
In regards to, I'll take it back to Dennis Porter. You talk about like how could Dennis Porter handle these stories about him, all the coverage, but we've been following Dennis Porter very closely for years. We know Dennis Porter very well. We've seen so much of his content, and if you knew how desperate he was for attention, you would think that was funny too. So we're just giving him the pension he's desperate for. And you can make a Chuck Norris facts page about somebody who's desperate for attention. And that's a signal, right? So like people find out how desperate Dennis is, like he's trying to put out so many headlines so that ChatGPT like think he broke all the stories, all the news. It'll be like the most, he'll probably steal the credit from journalists. But Predator, same way. If you go and you look, Predator is desperate for validation. He's desperate for attention. He will take it in any form, even if he acts grumpy about it. And there's so many people out there who are so interesting and talented and have such great, unique experience. And they're starting podcasts and they're getting on Bitcoin Twitter. And they're desperate for attention. And I just love to find people who are desperate for attention and give it to them. Because sometimes, you find a lot of interesting things out when you do.
Greaser nods along. I want to talk about the cringe content. This is a pet peeve of mine. I talked about it with you, Rod, when I went on the Bugle a little while ago. I fucking can't stand it. I tried to make this thumbnail as cringe as I could, and I basically stopped short of what the AI was feeding me, because we could have gone even cringier than this with the glowing and the Michael Saylor and the, all these other people in the vaults with the Bitcoin and the gold reserves that aren't there. I can't stand this. I've watched by the way, as a result of coming on your show, that Luke Milchick guy challenged me to a public debate about thumbnails. Did you guys know this? Did I tell you guys this?
No, that's crazy.
He challenged me to a debate on Julian Figueroa's channel, Kinetic Finance, that channel, about how me not using, I think that it might not just be me, but people not using clickbait titles and thumbnails is setting back Bitcoin by decades. Those are his words. I obviously don't agree with that sentiment and that statement, but you guys are in the content game. I almost never hear you really go in on the cringe, even though the cringe is everywhere now. Even on Ben Sessions' channel, BTC Sessions' channel has the cringe thumbnail every week, the cringe title. And he knows it. We talked about it, so I don't feel bad saying it on the air. Like, what is the deal with this shit, and when is it going to fucking stop?
We just don't call it cringe. We don't use the word cringe. We call it pleb slop. We call it boomer slop. We call it, just because something is cringe doesn't mean you like throw out the baby with the bathwater, because Taylor Swift is cringe. She's a billionaire. The normie world is full of cringe. It's not the cringe in and of itself that's the problem. I don't know. Yeah, it's not as simple as that, but pleb slop is really popular. And that's one of the things I've been trying to kind of help them brush out of Bitcoin podcast space is the pleb slop. Matthew Cratter, like Bitcoin University. I'm not against the Nazi point of view, or I make fun of them, but there's a lot of pleb slop over there too, and I think that's a problem for them.
Well, I mean, I've got this philosophy on life, and I'm very intentional with the stuff that I create and what I do with my time. And I don't like to hang out with the plebs. I think the plebs are retarded, and the plebs are the ones that are, it's like a fly zapper. Essentially, they're drawn to that blue light. That's what the open mouth thumbnail is. And if we're even going to believe that that's any of the engagements real on these platforms, who knows? I mean, it might just all be AI, bots watching their stupid videos that are drawn to the open mouth. I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, it's like that idea that Luke's like, you have to use the clickbait bullshit, to set Bitcoin forward. It's, there's a serious problem, which is champion mediocrity and accepting mediocrity and supporting mediocrity and setting that as a standard in our society. And I think it's the job of people that are not satisfied with mediocrity to go out there and try and engage, promote, or create content that isn't mediocre, that's actually creative and interesting. And I just don't really care about the pleb swap. Like it doesn't satisfy me. Watching the pleb swap is just like it's a poor use of my time. And I prefer to, really, search for stuff that has value. I've been going on this endeavor, trying to connect and hear people that are creating good music, because I like music a lot and I like good music. I don't like bad music. And that's been a fun endeavor, but yeah, I think it's a responsibility. It's like, are we going to, and just ask yourself as an individual, you listen to 48 hours of Bitcoin podcasts a week. You've been in this thing for a while. The rest of the society is retarded.
Yeah.
Why are they buying government bonds? Why are they, doing all these things that are just like patently stupid? Why are they consumed with the Taylor Swift wedding? Why is that like the most important thing to them right now? Instead of listening to Lynn Alden say nothing stops this train. It's just it should frustrate you, but not in a way that like derails you. It's just like, yeah, that's not what I enjoy. So either, I need to support people that are creating things that I enjoy, or create the things that I think are missing. And there's a place for it, like, but I just think like championing, like trying to as somebody that creates something, trying to adapt to the culture, which I despise, is a really bad use of my time. It's not good for me at all. And I think that's where a lot of us, what we've chosen to do with our lives, is just try and fit into this culture that's sick. It's incongruent to our values, or incongruent to who we are as individuals. And Bitcoin is a catalyst towards freeing the mind for many of us. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna I talk to Optimus all the time. I like to make fun of him for his thumbnails, and sometimes his thumbnails are a little bit better. But I don't hate on him too much. I like to twist his knobs a little bit, but that's just not how I want to use my time. I mean, I think there's this overemphasis on worrying what everybody else is doing and getting super upset over it. It's like, sometimes you just have to have self-reflection, look at yourself in the mirror and be like, oh, I actually need to think about the decisions I'm making, instead of just projecting all my insecurities and feelings of powerlessness on the content creators that are shilling sponsors that I don't like, or whatever.
Right. And that's a good point. I don't know how to follow up with that, except, it's,
It's what?
I don't know. He kind of covered every base.
Okay. Sure. It's not that I have a big problem, I think, with the way that the slop brings people in. Like, it's a good point. Grease,
there we go.
you know what I mean? Like, I have a problem with the way that it's like framed as, oh, this is the top of funnel stuff that's going to bring people to the content that's really important. And, I don't think, like, anyone who clicks on those thumbnails is retarded. They're never going to figure out, I don't know what the best products are. Like, they're never going to figure out self-custody. They're never going to figure out buying bonds is stupid. They're never going to figure out nothing stops this train. They're clicking the thumbnail because it's a high contrast color in their timeline. It's like a fly on shit. And that's the experience they have with Bitcoin. I also think, this might just be me, but I barely ever watch stuff on YouTube, honestly. I listen to my 40 hours like you guys recommend, and I don't watch it. And I think that the reason the sort of podcasts that are audio focused turn out so much better is because you're not worried so much about producing stuff that's going to draw in people who are mindlessly scrolling. You can sit there, like you guys do, to be honest with you. You can sit there for an hour and talk about something and go a little deeper on a subject and not worry about, do I have enough people on fire in front of the White House in my thumbnail to draw in the 20 IQ retard, right? I think that's better for Bitcoin. It's easier to do. And like you guys said, if you've been around a while, you know sort of what the important stuff is and what the important stuff is not. And so, like, if I look at YouTube or Twitter right now, I can see Ben is doing a whatever feed that's, is it over for Powell and Trump panicking? Like, nothing happened today with Powell and Trump, but that's the title he used, right? To me, I'm like, what? Like, why would you do that? It's not good for you.
I would push back and say that there was, a point in time where somebody would have looked at me and said, I'm a low IQ retard who's never going to realize why I shouldn't buy bonds and why I should do this company or why I should invest in this strategy. And there was, people like me, countless people like me, who did find Bitcoin by seeing some stupid open mouth thumbnail retarded slop, YouTube video. That was part of what kind of hooked me in, and then I grew way out past that. So my point is, like, I'm not going to give the open mouth thumbnail cringe, plaid slop, AI slop too much grief, because it's bringing people. It brought me in. Who am I to judge who's watching that slop? But if you can listen, people like AI slop. That is a fact of the matter. People are going to love it. They like the Big Bang Theory. They're going to love AI slop. And if they like, reality TV shows on network TV so they can be advertised to by the pharmaceutical companies, they're going to like AI slop. But if you can make content and you can talk and elevate the conversation to a higher value above AI slop, if you have that potential, you should do that. But if all you can make is AI slop, and that's still orange those people, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Wow.
We have so much finite energy, and I'm not going to use my finite energy being upset. I think one of the things that's important to know about what Sessions and Simply Bitcoin, the some of the prime offenders of the open mouth thumbnails, even Marty Bent's doing it, is all these guys have gone out there, they've built companies and they employ people. And I think that's something to have respect for. It's something that I have respect for in what they've done. They've left an impact. They've been involved in a market at a really interesting time when the entire media apparatus has been very hostile towards Bitcoin. So, there's things to criticize, but there's also things to appreciate about them. And it's not what I want to do with my time. It's not how I want to spend my time, but I still got a little bit of respect for them. And I just don't really care about what everybody else is doing. Like, I think what I really care about is trying to build something for myself in my life. And I think getting weighted down by the mental energy is something that a lot of Bitcoin people struggle with, is sitting in the peanut gallery, focusing on what everybody else is doing. And I think there's kind of like a general lack of self-reflection. Like, the reality is, folks, is you're not going to convince the rest of the population to be retarded. And it's just impossible. It's impossible. Like, if you've been trying to convince the rest of the population to stop being retarded, and you just present facts for them for a series of, like, you're going to get tired of it eventually. And I think it's important to know your life is really short. So, like, how are you going to spend it? Are you going to spend it being upset by, Dave Bailey saying buckle up? Or are you going to, actually try and go out there and do something compelling? And I think where people are inspired is through compelling storytelling and narratives. And you can do that. And hopefully one of the most compelling stories and narratives that you can present is being an example in your own life to showcase it.
All right. And it's, think about it from always look for opportunities to stay humble and, like, be cognizant of you'll have a low enough time preference. You need to lower your time preference, and there's going to be challenges. If venture capitalists like Marty Bent have to resort to making open mouth thumbnails to be successful in this economy, if you think you're above that, well, you need to lower your time preference and start being a little more humble.
I actually just got some headshots done for some speaking engagements I have coming up. So maybe I'll start using my headshots in the thumbnail. I got to get Len to do them though. He's not keen on getting headshots done. You listen, you guys have been a lot of fun, and I'm glad you came on. I'm glad we had some serious conversations and some funny conversations. But before you go, I want to know what's next for the Bugle. You can't, and maybe you can, but you shouldn't just keep doing the stuff you're doing. You should branch out even more. I see you got the music stuff going more and more, like you mentioned. The Twitter account is growing. I hear people talk about you guys on other podcasts that I listen to when I'm doing my 40 hours. And it's clear that what you're doing is sometimes hitting a nerve, other times hitting a funny bone, but it's landing in a lot of different places, probably places that maybe you never intended it to, or that you never thought it would. But clearly there's a niche here that you guys are filling well. So what's next for the Bugle, for you guys? I think people want to know what's in the pipeline.
Go ahead.
One of the big things that we've been doing is we've been trying to put out more paid content, like premium content. And I think this is important because there's different ways to monetize in the media ecosystem. And, we've been, talking about one of the ways that people monetize is primarily just like, generating as many views as possible to extract money from sponsors. Like that's what the open mouth thumbnail, these guys are incentivized to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They need the clickbait because they need to eat and they need to pay people. And I think one of the other ways is you create really compelling content and you convince people to pay for it. That's good enough to pay for it. So that's one of the endeavors that we've been working on with Fountain. So we just we've only been doing that for a few weeks now. Looking at doing live events. That's one of the things. I'm looking at partnering with like a lot of different musicians. I've been doing a music show every other Monday night, and there's a lot of things in the pipeline that we want to do, but a big part of it is like we can only grow as far as people support us. So we're trying to just make the story more compelling and more interesting.
Yeah. It really, let's be honest. We have so many huge ideas. We want to sell Madison Square Garden, but it comes down to money. So we're waiting for Jerome Powell to lower interest rates because the Bugle is what you would describe as a risk-on asset, a high-risk asset. We need somebody to invest in us, but right now, interest rates are just a little too high for the niche signal, or high signal,
I think you guys are going to be fine. And we've dabbled in paid content or talked about it at least in like the Discord channel we have. And I do feel bad charging. Like one of the things I like about the sponsors we have is that they're all anti-stupid thumbnail. I think the thing that works for us and would probably work for you guys, not that you have to do this, but when we take a sponsor on, we really think that whoever we have is like best in silo. So Easy DNS, if you want to host a website, like we think they're the best. Bull Bitcoin, I don't have to tell anyone about them. I think they're the best. And then, the 256 Heat, I think they're the best. The Bitcoin conference in Canada, I think it's the best one. I don't feel bad, getting any of that stuff on my air. And I think the people who listen to the show, because they're not clickbaiters, like you said, like, these guys have to eat. So they're just pulling from wherever they can in terms of view counts. For me, it's, can I get the people who listen to this show? Can I get 100 of the people who listen to this show to buy something from the sponsors every 2 months, every 3 months, whatever, or buy Bitcoin every week or whatever the case is? And if you have good listeners, good listener base, with a 10th of whatever your subscriber count is, you can probably do okay for a sponsor, and a sponsor will appreciate that. The paid stuff, I'm surprised. Like it hasn't become more prevalent. I know Fountain's emailing a lot of people and trying to get partners, but it's hard, man. People have no money. It's like a difficult thing to tell someone to sign up for something for a few months.
Yeah. And again, last thing on the open mouth thumbnails of how I feel about it. I don't have anything against them. If you're hot and you want to make sexy open mouth thumbnails, I love that. I want you to make sexy, but please just be, I think we're at a point in society finally where we've had enough of everybody's hot, everybody's beautiful, and no size is not beautiful, etc. If you're going to make sexy open mouth thumbnails, be hot, Just be hot. And we'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about asking for, or well, doing the premium content, because I know our content's good. I feel good about our content. I enjoy everything that we put out. I like to listen to because I enjoy it. It's the stuff that I want to see happen in the world. And I think it's important for people to understand, that the information is one of the most important commodities in the world. I think engaging in the media ecosystem significantly more effective and important than engaging in the political ecosystem. And most people just aren't being represented in that front. They're not active participants in it. A lot of people are. Like the fiat value for value ecosystem is massive. You look at Patreon, you look at Substack. But the thing that's cool about Bitcoin is censorship resistant money. And it's better money. And so, I think it's important it's important for me to be building out this market and to be building out like a use case for these tools, because at some point, somebody's going to get kicked off of Patreon. All their income is going to come off or get crushed, and hopefully there's a market already there. Mm-hmm. And I know it's unpopular in the Bitcoin ecosystem to spend your Bitcoin. But how is Bitcoin ever going to be money unless you spend it and you circulate it? And I think the information channels are one of the best ways and most effective ways to create that market and perpetuate it. And like if you feel bad about spending your Bitcoin, then go start a Bitcoin podcast and go try and earn Bitcoin, or do something and try and earn Bitcoin. Like realistically, it's like there's a lot of people that like to take a passive role and they like to bitch about what other people are doing and expect the world to change because they're buying Bitcoin and they're putting on a hardware wallet. It's like, come on. It's very silly, folks. It's very silly. Like it's, I think it's important to take an active role in your life, to feel good about the things that you're doing.
Stop being a pleb. Start being a pioneer.
Yeah,
that's right.
The world is now the world. We have found out today that the world is no longer safe for plebs.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. Honestly, yeah, you got to be an active participant. You can't let life happen to you. You got to be engaging with it. Well, let's get you guys out of here. Tell people where they can find the Bugle, the podcasts, your Twitter accounts, all that stuff. The floor's all yours, boys.
We're pretty easy to find. We're everywhere. Everybody talks about us. It's kind of a big deal.
Usually it's best if you find us before we find you.
Okay.
I've been doing a Noster push. My end pub is, no, I'm just kidding. Search Richard Greaser on Noster. Rod Palmer's on Noster. We're on Twitter. We're pretty easy to find. Bugle News. Bugle.news is our website. And if you're a podcast listener, we have the most thermodynamically sound Bitcoin podcast in the world, the Bugle Weekly. We're doing a lot of interesting stuff over there that I guarantee is unlike anything else you've ever heard before.
Also, you can check out my SoundCloud. Actually, no, my Spotify. Just search up Rod Palmer on Spotify. You'll see Baker Bitcoin Summer. That's me.
Great album.
People should be listening to all that stuff. Should be a part of your 40 hours to listen to the AI music. Anyways, listen, good night and good luck, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.